So this is Gaines's Mill, legendary difficulty, and I skipped the first part because nothing happened. My strategy is to completely surround the enemy. And you can see here that I have my first two divisions came in and now my reinforcements have come in. And this is 1st Division, and I want it to sweep around behind the enemy. You can see the strategic map. My reinforcements are going to come in, and they're going to come in on the left and right flank. In 2nd Division, if you look at the strategic map, that's the one that's all the way in the swamp on the far right. There they are. So 2nd Division. So 1st Division broke hard left. Everybody avoided fighting. And yeah, and this division is taking a position here, and that's the Union right flank, and that's what he's going to hit. And this is the Union left flank, and that's what he's going to hit. Both of these guys are going to hit from the front. But my big plan is for 1st and 2nd Division to actually come up behind the enemy. And 1st Division is here, but I want them to go all the way to the corner of the map, the bottom right corner of the map, and to come up behind the enemy, if that makes sense. So these guys, the whole attack starts when these guys get in onto the battlefield, and not until. So an enormous amount of time was just spent doing nothing but moving. And I cut all of that out, and it really was a long time. It's already 16:30, and I forget what time this battle starts, but that's a really long time for nothing to happen. And if you think that's a long time, wait till you see Malvern Hill. Also a very long time where nothing happens. And just maneuvering and getting into position. And I really like these battles where you spend a lot of time maneuvering and getting into position. And then you launch the attack from the position, from a superior position. And yeah, this is just ideal, an ideal kind of battle for me. And most of my army is infantry because this is a mobile attack and there's very little artillery can do. There is a role for artillery, but this is mostly just coverage. Infantry getting in position and then hitting the enemy with like 3 infantry units on one and breaking it. So this is ideal. We convinced these guys to come up and charge, and he's going to walk right up into... I do have some 24-pound howitzers there and infantry in good cover, so that's going to work out for me. So the objective is not to take the flag. In fact, I don't think you want to take the flag that's in the south. I think if you do, I think the battle might actually end. I'm not really sure. I just knew going into this, don't take the flag. So we're going to not take the flag, but a couple of units are going to secure everything south of that flag and come up kind of from the swampy area behind the enemy, while on the other side, 2nd Division is going to do the same thing. So these units that are coming in for the attack are going to launch the attack, and I don't want people to attack. I mean, one of the reasons these guys are doing what they're doing is that I want the enemy on the left flank to be pulled over to the right, because I want the fight to take place here on the right flank. So when the guys on the left flank here hits, there's nothing there. And again, the objective isn't to kill the enemy where he is, but to corral him into a pocket and then annihilate him. So that's the plan. We just want to push him back, surround him, corral him into a pocket. We don't have to inflict a lot of losses here. We just have to inflict enough losses that he retreats somewhere. And yeah, the corralling part is the hard part. But the interesting thing is we actually do corral pretty much his entire army. There are some guys who retreat south here. They die against the edge of the map. There's one skirmisher unit that gets into melee, retreats in the wrong direction, and I'm not sure if I kill him or not, but he's the only guy to escape the pocket. There's one skirmisher unit in the big pocket that kind of retreats to the south before I get the pocket secured. He dies against the edge of the map. So, you know, as a plan, it worked just perfectly. I mean, could not have been more pleased. And because we encircle them, we're going to get better than 10 to 1. So these units with 42s, they're just fine. Their job isn't to stand against enemy unit, 3-star units and exchange shots. Their job is to maneuver the enemy into position where the enemy has to fall back. They're perfectly good for that. Also, I have 24-pound howitzers, but here and at Malvern Hill, the 6-pounders do their job. Even the 12H isn't bad. The Napoleons are always worthless, but they do okay. They do the thing that they do what they do okay, not in a spectacular way, but okay, which is they put canister into the enemy at very short range. And even Napoleons, as terrible as they are, they can do that. So, yeah, this is, all these guys are coming up, and I want them to hit first before the attack from the front hits because, well, the attack from the front has to go across that water, so I want everybody to be facing the flank attack when these guys cross. I want them to cross pretty much unopposed. And yeah, hopefully the enemy is going to bring most of their units from their left flank to their right flank. And I think they do. I can't really see, but I think they do. Not as much as I would hope, though. The left flank has is a little stronger when I attack than I really want it to be. But yeah, like I'm looking at it right now, and it's a little stronger than I want it to be. Okay, I always lead with detached skirmishers. And detached skirmishers always against artillery because you don't want infantry to take canister to the face. And the infantry is going to move up right behind that. Okay, I did not want that guy to get into melee. So my detached skirmisher got into melee because of really weird, I don't know. He was supposed to shoot, but you know how it goes. Sighting and zones of control and all that stuff's a bit squirrely. So, yeah. And we always cross water. We always have detached skirmishers out front. Yeah, my units are moving south, pushing him into the south. Yeah, 1st Division's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And again, the idea isn't to take this flag. We don't care about this flag. The idea is to push this guy. Everybody gets pushed to the left. And there's somebody retreating to the right. I'm not happy about him at all. So that's not good. We want to kill that guy. So, yeah, the attack on the left gets kicked off. And it's going, yeah, it's going okay. My infantry could have been further along. So my infantry is not where I want it to be, and it has to move through the swamp area. So I got them started a little late, but I was afraid they were going to attract attention. So whenever I see any of these guys in these fortifications, I'm just going to have my infantry, 2 of my units charge him, and we're going to win the melee, and then I have a couple of units and detached skirmishers in support, and he's going to break right away. So unfortunately there's a phase transition. So yeah, this is just a real example of how terrible those fortifications are. There's no way that my 1842s should be able to walk up and do anything but die in front of decent fortifications. But they do okay. They step up and they're actually pretty devastating in that position. So yeah, we're not necessarily trying to engage these guys and destroy them in melee or something. We're just kind of wrapping around them and convincing them go to the left. And these guys on the left, we're trying to convince them go to the right. I want this wood line. I want the wood line across the water. I want the wood line to the rear. You see this rear area here? Yeah, and you can see the infantry units that are coming up, missing the flag and coming up south of the flag. That's exactly what I want them to do, and they're going to connect with 2nd Division. 1st Division and 2nd Division are going to meet behind the enemy line. And it's a thing of great beauty. Perfectly executed maneuver. And yeah, that I don't know how I could have done that better. So I need to put these detached skirmishers on hold because they want to bounce around and waste my time. So yeah, we've captured some guys against the edge of the map. That's always a good thing. And one of the things I want to do is have detached skirmishers, because they count as infantry, have my detached skirmishers form like a second line so the enemy doesn't route south or to the left edge of the... Like, he could just roll right over top of me here and go left. And I don't want him to do that. And he wants to do that. As my infantry pushes him, he'll route north, he'll route south, he'll route to the west. He's unlikely to route to the east. But north or south, or... Yeah, and here this guy's getting me into melee. That's bad. And if too many units come this way, the whole bunch of them will route to the south. That's not impossible, but I'm going to run out of time. I mean, I'm going to run out of time getting these guys. He actually captures my unit there, but in the process of getting into melee, he routes, and I'm going to get him back. So, yeah, we have to convince all these guys. I'm afraid at this point he's going to go southwest. And that's a lot of swamp, and that would be really hard for me to get my whole army there. My whole army's right here, and I want to push him kind of on top of that little farm, if that makes sense. I mean, anywhere is fine. Anywhere I can surround him. But if he's on that farm, then my guys can be in pretty good cover. And if he goes into the water, in a couple of directions, there's nothing but water. And if he goes into the water, that's going to be very bad for him as he drifts around, as he does when he starts to do this routing in circles thing. Okay, now the really important thing. Got to get the artillery up. The artillery has had a long way to go, but I've got to get the artillery up. The artillery will keep the enemy from routing into your infantry. He'll route toward your infantry, and he takes a shot of canister, and he'll back off. So that, a lot of times, keeps the enemy from routing into your infantry. Bad news is, if he does route into your infantry and your artillery's close, he'll pull it into melee. So I'm trying to get my artillery now up and around, kind of 360. And I see where he's headed, and I don't want to push too much. I want to my units to be within rifle range, but not pushed too close to him, because he'll route away from my infantry. So I'm trying to stay away from him. Now here's what I found doing this. Your artillery, for example, and your infantry will stop firing. I don't know why. It's the same problem we have with sniper units. Well, they'll just sit there and won't fire. If you target a unit, sometimes your sniper units will chase after the unit you targeted, but if you don't target a unit, sometimes they just sit there and don't do anything. And this is the problem that you have with these encirclements. You have to keep telling your infantry to fire at somebody. So the best way to do that is tell your units to fire at somebody close by. So here I'm just kind of, there was one unit went to the south. I'm killing him. I'm capturing some supply wagons. But this is where the action is. I'm getting my artillery up and around. My artillery is in pretty good position. I see he wants to kind of go north. So I have a couple of artillery over there to convince him not to do that. And my tiny units of 500, some of them are going to come down and form another line, not to fire, but to convince him there's a lot of infantry there. He counts infantry and detached skirmishers in his calculations. So these little units of 500, detached skirmishers, all this helps. And I'm even sending more infantry over there to convince him, don't go north, because he will go north. So putting detached skirmishers all around the line, behind the main line, to convince him that he can't retreat in any of those ways. So yeah, I have an infantry unit near the victory location, and he's going to seize the victory location when it's time, like 10 minutes to go or something. And yeah, we pretty much have everybody in position. I have my officers around, have my artillery in place, have a second line of detached skirmishers and infantry. I can put any exhausted units in the second line. Yeah, he had his detached skirmisher there. I kind of forgot about him, but he showed up, so we're going to kill him. And we're going to capture those 2 supply wagons. And we captured, so that's 3 supply wagons total. But I'm really not concerned about that. I'm concerned about this. And this can go all kinds of wrong. And there's actually a lot of troops in there, and I want to get them before time is up. 58 minutes is not a long time. Everybody needs to shoot, because that's a lot of kills. And not everybody's in range. So yeah, if I click on that guy, he'll fire. Notice how that just happened? If I don't click on the guy, he's not going to fire. And I also want to make sure that, and one of the things you want to do is just click in the area of the enemy, because if there's like one of those little sprites, it'll do that. It'll give you the arrow thing. And it'll tell you how close you are, and see, I told everybody to fire, and they fire. And so you have to keep telling the artillery to fire. You have to keep telling the infantry to fire. And if you do, you're going to get a lot of kills faster, and if you don't, it's going to be slower, and you might run out of time. So, and you can easily run out of time doing this. So there, I told the guy to fire, and I'm looking at the red bar. Come on, man, fire. So finally he fires. Come on, there you go. So there's a little delay and fire. And yeah, you have to keep telling them, or they'll stop firing. They'll just stand there and look at the show. So I'm looking right now. Is my artillery firing? Okay, there's one fired. I'm going to move him up closer. So everybody needs to fire. I need to check on ammo. I need to check on condition. And I also need to check and make sure that nobody with a red bar is just standing there doing nothing. But also I don't want to push these guys too hard, because if I push too hard, like on the unit, that the Lorenz unit that I'm moving right now, he'll drive the whole pile into my infantry to the right. He'll go north and to the right, and yeah, that little Mississippi unit, and I have 2 artillery over there, 3 artillery. Yeah, the Napoleon's not getting a lot of kills as normal. But yeah, so I have the units of 500 coming up. I'm going to place these other units of 500 kind of to the... You see them going off to the right. They're going to cover the rear of my army. So I need these guys to move up just a little bit more. It tells you if it needs... It tells you if your unit needs to move closer to get a shot. And of course they do this, you know, bouncing around thing that they do, so you have to prevent that from happening. So... yeah, everybody's firing. 33 minutes to go. So yeah, this is now just a race against time. Can I get all the kills before the time runs out? And if I don't give these specific orders to fire, I will not get them all. So yeah, this is actually very tough to do, and it's... We shouldn't have to do this. An enemy completely surrounded, and I've played other games like Sid Meier's, Antietam, units that were surrounded, taking fire from multiple directions, and there was no way out. They could not retreat. They surrendered. So this should be a thing. So these guys obviously have no escape route. And one of the things I've noticed is when they start to move in a direction, you need to hit the units that are in the front to convince them to move backwards. That convinces the whole pack not to go in that direction. So make sure the artillery is targeting the guys who are like trying to move to the right. I don't want them to move to the right. So you don't want them to target units that, in this case, that would be on the left side. The units on the right need to target the units that are closest to them to push them back, if that makes sense, and to route them away from them. So you want these guys just to bounce back and forth within this circle. But anybody moving in any direction gets hit, if that makes sense. So, yeah, 18 minutes to go. That's a lot of folks still in the middle. 18 minutes. 16 minutes to go. So, yeah, I had my fingers crossed, man, at this point. It's like, come on, everybody fire. We can get these guys. Get as many kills as possible. And, yeah, when it gets down to 1 unit, I wanted everybody to charge. So we're down to like 4. 13 minutes to go. Come on, we can get them. 12 minutes to go. Soon we'll be down to 10 minutes, and I'm going to give the order to the guy to move, to seize the objective. 11 minutes, and now I want to give the charge order, but too late. So got him all. This guy, 9 minutes to go, he'll seize the objectives. I think there might be one small skirmisher unit over here. So yeah, the next 7 minutes I just move some folks around. Anybody who's not doing anything can go on a walk, build up some condition. And that's it. So over 10 to 1, he has 21, 22, 23, what, almost 24,000 maybe I lose. I have 6% medicine. I lose, I don't know, like 22, 2,200 maybe, close to that, something like that. Okay, Lorenz got 2,400, lost 69. Harper's Ferry killed 2,000, lost 93. 1,700, lost 61. Yeah, a little bit of medicine added in there. Lorenz got 1,300, lost 280. The Irish Brigade, 1,200, lost 48. Yeah, good battle. Yeah, I liked it. It was good. Not a big day for artillery. This was an infantry battle, but the 24-pound howitzer got almost 1,000 kills. Yeah, the biggest thing for the artillery was just to fire canister and break morale. That canister helped, in a lot of cases, convinced enemy units to retreat or even rout, and that's what we wanted them for. It wasn't the kills, it was pushing the enemy back, and then when he was encircled, the artillery was a huge help in keeping the enemy contained within the circle. So, yeah, a lot of these units came in very, very late. I didn't bring my 3-pounder into the battle because he had 6-pounders, and he's a long range. I just don't want to lose anybody. He's not going to be on the front line. So, only 2 promotions. That's not what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a bunch. I got Harper's Ferries. That's great. Yeah, finally starting to get some 10-pound parrots. Yeah, got some 55s. Those are good guns. So happy to have those too. So, okay, 109,000 with what we had before. We now have 170,000. And yeah, with some officers, we're going to get more 2 stars. And yeah, good battle, and I'll see you in camp.